I have a confession. Some Sunday mornings before coming here, I find myself at St. Mary's attending Mass. Once inside, my anxiety is captured by this description by Thomas Merton of his first time at Mass. He says, "I got the idea that people had spotted me for a pagan and were waiting for me just to miss a few more genuflections before throwing me out, or at least giving me a few looks of reproof." Despite my discomfort, I am drawn to the Catholic Church, to its rituals, to its liturgical calendar and deep symbolism, all that gesture to the sacred, which is love. But then I come here, home, where the divine is manifest in the love expressed within these walls. And I realize for me, they are the clearest sign or doorway to the presence. A place where no name is preferred, and all names that suggest an all-embracing love are welcome. For my spiritual tourism, however, I do blame Thomas Merton. Thomas Merton was born on January 31st, 1915. He lived the life of an artist child throughout Europe and the United States. Both of his parents passed at a young age, leading to a scattered lifestyle that continued through his early college years. As a result, he nearly failed out of Cambridge. He transferred to Columbia, where he excelled academically and socially. And he began his slow quest towards Catholicism after being encouraged to read St. Augustine by a Hindu mystic. He was baptized on November 16th, 1938, and on December 10th, 1941, as the draft became imminent, he entered the Abbey of Gethsemane near Louisville, Kentucky, as a Trappist monk, taking the name Father Louis. During his life at Gethsemane, he initially sought obscurity, but his superiors soon became aware of his literary genius, and he was at least partially thrown back into the world as a writer and as a spiritual master. During this time, he sought more and more the solitude he craved upon entering the monastery. And he eventually entered a hermitage on the abbey premises in 1965. As his thought moved more toward the east, he was permitted to leave the abbey for an extended tour of Asia. During this trip, on December 10th, 1968, yes, December 10th, the same day that he entered the abbey in 1941, Merton died in Bangkok, Thailand, unable to complete the final leg of his journey, which was to be several weeks studying with Sufi masters. So why would a promising writer, a young man of great literary genius, and a graduate degree from Columbia, not only convert to Catholicism, but leave the world and enter a cloistered community where he'd remain for the rest of his life? What would then turn this devout, committed Catholic to seek the source of being and love far beyond the walls of the Abbey of Gethsemane and the parameters of his beloved Catholic Church? Looking to the Eastern Christians, to Buddhists, to Hindus, to hippies, to poets, to Sufis, to jazz artists, to Quakers, writers, and to the existentialists. I think both these questions, why become Catholic and a monk, and once there, why look outside, can be answered in the same way. He sought his true self. And he found that it could be found not in the dispersing of the spirits in the material world, not in the stagnation that he found present in the monastic spirituality when he first entered, but could be found only in a solitude and silence that would lead to freedom. And much like the Buddha, who also found this true freedom in a similar sort of path, he knew he had an obligation to teach this path, and hence his writings and expansive spiritual teachings as a novice master. But why should we care about this cloistered monk of the Order of Cistercians of the Strict Observance, better known as the Trappists. What Merton taught was not how to be a good Catholic, but how to be a complete human being.